Good morning. My name is Mateusz Zadecki. I'm a technical support engineer at EBS. Any EBS Smart Communicator currently available can replace the method of sending events to the monitoring station from the analog telephone line to wireless transmission via GPRS. However, this is not the only upgrade offered by our company's communicators. Almost any alarm panel can be programmed to arm itself after a zone violation and transmit information about its status, arming or disarming via programmable output. Proper connection and configuration of the communicator will allow us not only to transmit data via DTMF, but also remotely control the panel from a mobile application. Before starting the installation, you should prepare an EBS Smart Communicator. In this case, we decided on the LX3NB Q30U, a programmed alarm panel as described earlier. One of the inputs configured as a key switch. Here we strongly recommend momentary key switch, an output programmed as system status. And for DTMF data transmission, you need to enter the telephone number. The phone number doesn't have to be real. It can be, for example, 5555. Object code and data transmission format. We decided on contact ID, but it could also be the SIA protocol. To make electrical connections, we will need 3 pairs of wires with terminated ends. Of course, you can use data cable. But keep in mind, some alarm panels require installation of additional resistors. In this case, I soldered a 1K ohm resistor in series with the wire. We will also need a GSM antenna, SIM card, and a programmer. I opted for the Mini Prog BT. The panel was installed in an EBS OBDNA model enclosure with a built-in transformer. I used tamper switches to simulate a zone and connected them to input 4 of the control panel. The communicator can be installed either inside the alarm panel enclosure, if there is room, of course, or outside. The communicator has a dedicated, elegant enclosure equipped with neodymium magnets. Thanks to the magnets, the communicator can be installed on any ferromagnetic surface without the need for drilling any holes. In our case, we decided on installation inside the alarm panel enclosure. We have 2 types of GSM antennas available. Since we are in an area with good GSM signal quality, and the enclosure is made of plastic, we can use a short L-type antenna. If you want to improve the GSM signal quality, or if the enclosure is made of a metallic material, the antenna must be mounted outside the enclosure. In this case, we would choose a wired version with adhesive tape. Keep in mind that this antenna should not be attached to metallic surfaces. Now we proceed with the installation by making physical connections, connecting the antenna, and inserting the SIM card. We start by connecting the red wire to the positive AUX terminal of the alarm panel. And the other end of the wire we connect to the positive 12-volt terminal of the communicator. With the black wire, we connect to the negative AUX terminal on the alarm control panel. To the ground terminal of the transmitter. Now we connect the wires for arming and disarming control of the alarm panel. We connect the blue wire to the programmable output on the alarm control panel, labeled in this case as PG1. Connect the second wire to terminal I01.
Podłączamy do zacisku in-out 1,
which will be defined as an input during programming.
zostanie zdefiniowany jako wejście.
The next wire we'll connect is the purple wire.
Jest przewód fioletowy.
Input 1 has been programmed in this panel as Keyswitch arming.
Centrali jako uzbrajanie Keyswitch.
Therefore, we connect one end to connector 1,
Koniec podłączamy do złącza 1.
and the other end of the wire to terminal I02.
Podłączamy do złącza in-out 2. Złącze to na
Later, this connector will be defined as an output in the configuration of the communicator.
jako wyjście.
Now, we need to connect to the telephone line. So we connect one end of the green wire
Do złącza ring podłączamy
to the ring terminal,
przewodu w kolorze zielonym,
and the other end to the R1 terminal.
a drugą stronę podłączamy do złącza R1.
We connect the end of the yellow wire to the TIP terminal.
Końcówkę przewodu o kolorze żółtym
And the other end to the T1 terminal of the communicator.
stronę podłączamy do zacisku T1 komunikatora.
Remember to ensure that the negative AUX terminal
Zacisk ujemny auxiliary
is common with the COM terminal of the zone inputs.
common wejść linii dozorowych.
Otherwise, an additional ground connection should be made from terminal C to terminal G and D of the transmitter.
Zacisku C do zacisku GND nadajnika.
After completing the electrical connections, we install the GSM antenna.
Antenę GSM.
Make sure that the antenna is positioned perpendicular to the surface of the ground,
Była prostopadle do powierzchni,
i.e. vertically.
czyli pionowo, oraz kartę SIM.
After completing all the steps, we verify that the connections are correct.
Poprawność połączeń.
It is important to remember that the SIM card must have the PIN code removed or changed to 1111. This is the communicator's factory default PIN code, implemented in the transmitter. And only after this do we connect the power supply and battery.
Oraz akumulator.
Now we can connect the 230-volt mains power supply,
30 V.
and then the backup power supply,
Zasilanie rezerwowe,
i.e. the battery. First, the alarm control panel will start,
następnie
then the communicator.
nadajnika.
As you can see, the DTMF LED is blinking alternately.
Naprzemiennie
This means that data transmission is occurring over the phone line to the communicator.
po linii telefonicznej do nadajnika.
We can insert the mini-prog BT programmer into the CONF socket.
Prog do złącza conf.
I chose this model for its ease of use. The programmer allows connection to a computer or smartphone via Bluetooth. Optionally, you can use the micro USB port for a wired connection. Now we can move on to the configuration of the communicator in the EBS Config 2.0 program. The EBS Config 2.0 application is available in two versions. The mobile version can be downloaded from Google Play, and the desktop version is available after logging into the Knowledge Zone from the ebssmart.com page. We start the EBS Config 2.0 application. It's important to remember to pair the programmer with a personal computer or mobile phone before setting up the connection. We press the double arrows icon for the connection settings, and then click the plus symbol. We select Mini Prog. As you can see, the device has been detected, and we enter its name. This can be anything. We click OK. After setting up the connection, we can read the configuration from the device. At this time, 4 LEDs should be blinking on the device alternatively. It is important to remember that during the first configuration reading, we will be asked for a service code. By default, it's 1111. Because I've programmed this communicator many times before, I don't need to enter this code. After reading, we will have the main screen, which shows the device model, its serial number, and firmware version. Go to the Communications Channels tab and add a cellular network communication channel. Cellular Network tab, and fill in the main server address. In our case, it's the EBS public server, which is ava01.ebstrade.com. The port in our case is 7456. This is a common port for all our communicators. APN, cards, SIM. After setting up the communication channel, we move to the Inputs/Outputs tab. The device has 8 hybrid terminals on the board, which can work as both inputs and outputs. We add the first wire input with the number 1, and then the wired output with the number 2. We change the input type to normally open and set the output response time to 3 seconds. This is the minimum time for the Paradox SP4000 control panel to change the status of the control panel to enter armed mode. After configuring the input and output, we move to the Telephone line tab. We enable the first number and enter the telephone number. The phone number must match the number programmed earlier in the alarm control panel. In our case, it is 5555. In case of problems connecting the communicator with the alarm control panel, you should increase the confirmation delay. You can also choose the type of protocol. By default, it is Contact ID, but if necessary, it can be SIA protocol. After configuring the telephone line, we should disable the notification of the first input violation in the TCP/IP monitoring tab. This way, we won't receive push notifications in the EBS Security app every time we arm the system. Now we can proceed to the communicator settings. Enter the user code, and then save the configuration. After configuring in EBS Config 2.0, we can add the communicator to the EBS Security app,
Dodać komunikator do
dedicated for end users.
EBS Security dedykowanej dla użytkownika końcowego.
The EBS Security app is available for download on Google Play and the App Store. To add a smart communicator to the EBS Security app,
Aby dodać smart komunikator do aplikacji EBS
you need to log in
Security,
and click the gear icon in the upper right corner of the screen.
kliknąć ikonę koła zębatego znajdującą się w prawym górnym rogu ekranu. Następnie wybieramy
Then
ustawienia
choose
obiektu,
Object Settings.
klikamy
click the
na
plus
symbol
symbol.
plusa, wybieramy
Select the communicator
komunikator i
and
wprowadzamy
enter the
numer
device serial number.
urządzenia.
Enter the
Podajemy
user
kod
code,
użytkownika, taki
the
sam
same
jak
as programmed
zaprogramowaliśmy
earlier
wcześniej,
using the EBS Config
jak zostanie
2.0 software.
zaprogramowane EBS Config 2.0.
Click the
Klikamy
Add
przycisk
button.
Dodaj.
The push notification informs us of the successful addition of the object. Then we choose the object.
Wybieramy obiekt,
Click
klikamy
Edit.
edycję.
Now we need to link the input with the output.
Wejście z wyjściem.
In the ARM Disarm tab, we select the output. This is the second terminal, AUX2,
I wejście
and the first input and the output operating mode.
oraz tryb pracy wyjścia.
Since we are using a momentary key switch,
W kluczu chwilowym
we choose Impulse.
impuls.
We save the settings with the Save button.
Zapisujemy przyciskiem Zapisz.
Now we can go back to the main screen.
Cofnąć się do ekranu początkowego.
As you can see, the object has been successfully added.
Obiekt został dodany.
Currently,
ponownie.
the control panel
Aktualnie
is disarmed.
jest w stanie rozbrojenia.
Now we go back to our alarm
Wracamy do
system.
systemu alarmowego.
As you can see, it is currently disarmed.
W stanie rozbrojenia.
We grab our phone, open the EBS Security app, and press the lock symbol.
I naciskamy sam symbol zamkniętej kłódki.
To arm the system. As you can see, the ARM diode is lit up. The system has been armed.
System został uzbrojony.
Now we will trigger an alarm in the system by violating one of the inputs.
Naruszając jedno z wejść.
A push notification about the alarm is received.
Przychodzi powiadomienie push o alarmie.
The system can be disarmed by pressing the Open Padlock button, thereby canceling the alarm.
Otwartej kłódki. I anulować przez to alarm.
Thank you for your attention, and I encourage you to watch the rest of our videos with me. See you next time.
Do zobaczenia.